Happy August, happy football. It's back. It's time to get you hooked. Welcome inside Season 2 of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns alongside Vince Young and Mack Brown. I'm Bob Ballou. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, you can catch us anywhere on social media at the Stampede UT. New episodes of the Stampede drop every week, and you can get those anywhere you get your podcasts. Before we do anything else, I know Mack, Vince, and I all want to say one thing. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Season 1. It is in the books. We're wrapped up, and we are ready for Season 2. Guys, just a big thank you to our audience for doing and listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and get friends to listen too. If you got a buddy, say, hey, jump on this and listen, because we're going to have a lot of great stuff. Going to be a fun year. So many things going on in college football. Texas has a chance to be great again this year. So a lot of fun things to talk about ahead.
Oh, yeah, very excited. Thank you, fans. Thank you, guys. I love when you guys walk up to me. Hey, I love the show. Tell Coach I said hello. Tell Bob, great job.
And Vince, I'll never forget that one of the first episodes we did, you said we're going to get a belly workout because you're going to be laughing at some of the stories Vince tells. That has not disappointed.
No.
In the least. You've got some great stories, and we got some great stories to tell in Season 2. Before we get to that, though, we have 2 Hall of Honor members as a part of this. Mack Brown was honored in the Texas Hall of Honor in 2006, Vince Young in 2015. The new Hall of Honor class came out, and there's some unbelievable, it's like every year with this, though, right? I mean, every year there are unbelievable names that are associated with Texas, and it's across the board. I wanted to mention a few of them. Connie Clark, who was obviously the longtime softball coach there. Mack, you obviously work close with her. Kat Bell, an incredible volleyball player. Ryan Krauser, one of the best shot putters ever, 3-time gold medalist. Garrett Weber-Gale, one of the great swimmers, 2-time gold medalist. But there were a bunch of football players, too. And it was really cool, I'm sure, for both of you guys being involved in the football program the way you are, to think about those names, like Malcolm Brown, the great defensive tackle that went on to win a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Jackson Jeffcoat, obviously the lineage with his dad, but he was fantastic in his time at Texas. And Mike Williams. I just wanted to get your thoughts on some of these guys that you know so well that are going into the Texas Hall of Honor this year.
Vince?
Well, yeah, I mean, just knowing, the history of a lot of these guys putting in a lot of work, and to hear your name being called as one of the greats that ever stepped on the best campus in the world is the University of Texas. You just want to continue to keep supporting them. And not only is, these guys were great guys just on the football field, but they was also just great people, and just having the opportunity to just mess around with Malcolm Brown when just stepping on campus, to see him, the things that he has done, and he's a weapon, but it's like his smile is like he can't be the top D nose guy in the country when he's just one of the coolest, happiest guys I ever met, and just cheesing, he laughs. Well, Mike Will, one of the biggest guys I've ever seen in my life.
And happy feet.
He's
like a dancing bear.
Yeah, so the stories could go on and on, but these guys and these young ladies and shot put, I never seen somebody throw a shot put that far in my life. But in the same time, just understanding that these guys are representing the university in the right way, and I'm just so happy for them. They're in their entire family.
And the Texas Hall of Honor is so hard to get in.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's very important to the university and the state. And these guys are great. Jackson Jeffcoat, I remember, one of the best pass rushers we ever had, and he overcame a lot of injuries, and then he had an unbelievable career in the Canadian League. Yeah. But Malcolm, nobody could block Malcolm. He's like some of these guys at Casey Hampton. You had to take him out of scrimmages so you could run the ball, because he whipped everybody up front as he was going through. And Mike Williams, just to have the feet that he had, to be so light on his feet, to be so big and run, and just an athlete. It was fun. And I'd like to also mention Lawrence Sampleton.
Yeah, for sure.
Lawrence is such a special man. He's been the admissions director at St. Stephen's for years, and he's so classy, and he's such a great representative for Texas football that you don't get in this group unless you've got class, unless you've done things right, because it's really hard to get in. There's a hard selection committee, and they're not going to put people in there that don't deserve it, and all of these young men deserve it.
Yeah.
I've covered Texas athletics for more than 20 years, And it's every year, it's so cool when some of the names pop up and you're like, "Oh, I love that person." And a lot of times it's not even in football, it's in a volleyball player that you covered 20 years ago or, somebody else. It's just a really special group, and it's been really cool to see that over the years and how much pride they take in it when they're named into the Texas Hall of Honor. So really special. All right, it is the first week of football at the University of Texas. And we've got so much to get into. We want to get into some of the storylines. Preseason camp begins on Wednesday with that first practice, and everybody gets going. And then later in the show, we are going to talk about the Protect College Sports Act, as that has taken on another new life, as it does, it seems to, like every other day. But let's start with preseason camp. It's not, I imagine, Coach, it's not that hard to get guys up for the first day. First day of pads is also pretty easy to get them up. But obviously, as you get into camp, it'll get a little tougher. But this first week, what do you stress? How do you try to maybe calm the emotions as opposed to trying to get guys back up as you move forward in camp?
It's funny, Bob, after the first practice when we'd meet with the media, and your first thing is, we had a really good practice. Well, if you don't in the first day, you're going to have a bad year because they're all excited. They're all fighting for jobs. They're all in shape. But we learned you have to be really, really careful because you're so excited and you run so much more in shorts in those early practices than you do when you get in pads, and you teach more. So if you're not careful, we really had to cut the opening practice a lot after we learned, because in the heat they can dehydrate so quickly and then be worn out by the third day, fourth day when you put pads on, because they're so excited. So you taught more in those early practices, and because you're just going to run all the time. And it was amazing how much more you ran early than you did when you taught, and people got a little tired and they were moving a little bit slower. So that was the first thing. The second thing is you got to be really, really careful because they're in shorts to start with. They're trying to get you acclimatized for the heat in the pads. And you got to be careful they don't run into each other. Vince can tell you, if some pass rusher comes in there and he's throwing the ball and he stumbles and falls into his knee, we lose a quarterback, and ridiculous in shorts. Or especially you've got newcomers, you got transfers, you got freshmen that don't know how to practice. And you're still teaching them practice. Some of them even went through spring practice, but they're more excited now because they got to get the attention of the coach to try to get to play in the games. So, I mean, that was a big part of it. And then you start thinking about, what do you put in? Greg Davis wanted to put everything in. I always wanted to put it in slow. Greg wanted to put in 75 plays and then go back and figure out which ones you're going to use. So that's usually a fight with your coordinators on how much you put in. Do you put any Ohio State stuff in now, or do you just work on you for a week, 10 days, and get started? How much do you work ones against ones when you're trying to just get established with what you're doing, and Muschamp's trying to get his defense in, and Sark's trying to get his offense in, and maybe you're not working on blitzes, you're not working on plays, and that makes it crazy, as Vance knows. They blitz and you don't have that play in, and he gets hit in the back of the head, and he said, "What you did?" And I said, "Well, we're going to check out of that later." "Well, why don't we do it now?" "Why are we getting hit in this?" And you've got to be careful, Bob, in this intense heat, and they're excited, that you do too much, and then they're worn out, and you get some hurt because they're less likely to learn when they're tired, and they also are more likely to pull up or fall into somebody when they're tired and get hurt. So we actually learned by going to the pro teams that were in the Deep South that we wanted to be outside for an hour, and then we would go in the indoor area for an hour, and that would be the second hour where they would stay more fresh, and they were more likely to be locked into practice and not make mental mistakes because they were exhausted. And we found that staying out in the heat an hour is enough. Anything more than that drains you. So we learned. And then the last thing, before I let VY talk about from a player's perspective, a lot of mind games in preseason. You're all excited about the season. Are you talking about national championship? Are you talking about Ohio State? Are you talking about Texas State in the opener? Are you talking about the process? Are you talking about just being good? What's the message? And the messaging has to be aligned. The whole staff has to be saying the same thing, and then the leaders have to be saying the same things. And leaders like Vince really had to step up in preseason practice, because it used to be 2-a-days.
Yeah.
And we'd practice in the morning from 8:30 to 10:30, and then 5:30 to 7:30. And 5:30 to 7:30 was the hottest part of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to get in bed because you had to get back up early the next morning. So Vince was the one that had to say, get in bed, man. Quit playing cards. Get off your phone. We got to get some sleep. You got to get some rest. And then we would break it up. We'd say we're going to have a scrimmage. Then we might go out there and bring them up and send them to the pool for mind games. We might take them bowling one night. Usually practice 4 days on and 1 off, because that's kind of what you do during the season. So there's a whole lot that goes into preseason practice.
Really interesting point you made there, that they're less likely to learn if they're tired. And I think I bet that's a lesson that a lot of guys have to learn to understand it. Vince, I would like to ask you how much he's right and wrong about there, but I don't need. Did you even have cell phones? I can't remember how old you are. Did we have cell phones in 2004
Yeah,
and
we
5? I
definitely-
can't remember.
Yes, prime code.
Now, Vince,
We was
he's
saving
calling
minutes.
you old, Vince.
Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
social media when you played.
And
We
I
had black
accept
and
it.
white TVs.
I accept it. I like becoming old. I like it.
We only had 3 channels that we watched.
Hey, we got a little
Exactly.
gray. There's a little gray. There's a little gray.
Come
on
on,
the
Bob.
bus.
It's
Come
fun.
on, Bob.
Vince, how what do you remember most about, some of those early preseason practices that you're so excited to be a part of it, but you also know, like, we've got to get down to business pretty quick here?
Yeah, as a leader and as the quarterback of the team, first of all, you want to take everything coach has said in that team meeting room and make sure everybody in the locker room understands what he's saying. Understanding our core values. What is our core values? What are we like we had the saying, take that aim. Did everybody understand what that meant? That we was taking that aim. There's certain different things in that season to be able to make it back to the championship game.
Yeah.
And when coach and the rest of the coaching staff communicate to us, us as leaders, me, Rod Rice, Southern Young, and the guys, we had to make sure guys was on the same page. When he says, hey, fast to the ball, but don't hurt nobody, that's exactly what it meant. We want you to be aggressive. We want you to do that, but take care of each other. Understanding, like Coach just said, like how to practice. Yes, we all excited to be back, but in the same time, for me as an offensive standpoint, we're trying to be better from what we probably didn't do last year. We wasn't good in third down, or we wasn't good in our 3-step game, or we wasn't good, whatever that may be. Let's work at it. Let's get better at it, because we know what our strengths are, but it's going to be a point in time that something our weaknesses is going to occur, is going to happen during the game. And what are we doing at practice to focus on that to be better? So me, when it was third down, I used to make sure guys come up. Hey, we didn't do good right here in third down. So I need everybody to dial in to be focused. We need to be at least 50% today or 40% today. So we can take a lot of pressure off our defense, trying to be more of a balanced team. So, especially as I got older, I knew what we needed as a team. I knew who we needed to push. Like Limas Swede, we had to push that guy. We like, come on, Limas, you one of the biggest guys out here. You're supposed to be dominating, just, doing things as a team and pushing guys individually. So we all did that. And I feel like not only just on the offense side of the ball, I think the defense started doing it, competing against them every day. Like, hey, we're going to beat y'all today. Or they vice versa beat us. And then, when the special teams are out there, I love when coach brought up Dusty Mangum and Pino up. And we get to scream in their ear, make it really challenging and really hard for them
To win
make
the
a
game.
field goal. Because we're going to need them.
To win
And
the game.
To win the game. And for us to do that, it also brought great chemistry for us to have fun together, putting pressure on our kicker. But in the same time, we really cared about it. And that's how much important he was to us as a team, our special team. So a lot of these different things is just understanding when we step into that practice field, if we just prepare and work our butt off at practice, the game will come easy. And for us to compete each day, I really feel like that was the advantage that we had on other teams because of how we worked at practice.
And
And
Vince,
Bob, there's so much
go ahead.
excitement. I mean, it's just, you're just so hyped
Yeah.
and ready to go. And that's where you have to control yourself. Coaches are that way. And then you had fun. It's like on the last second field goal, we'd have Pino come up and we'd say, okay, David, you make it. Defense goes in. Offense runs. There you go. 5, 4, 3, and to win a game. And it was fun, but we'd have talent shows, and so these guys are so talented outside of football. They can sing, they can dance. They used to
they
mock
can
coaches.
shoot. They play basketball. They can
Oh,
shoot.
yeah.
Some of them can shoot.
Check out that elbow. You see that elbow right there, Bob? You see that?
That's his golf elbow. But we'd have the talent shows were unbelievable. We'd have things like Family Feud. And oh my gosh, you'd think it was for the national championship because these guys compete and they had so much fun together. And that's the way they were at practice. And the reason we were so good at times is both sides of the ball were so talented and they fought every day. So it's like Sonia Richards-Ross saying that I got it outside of my process for the first gold, and that's why I lost. I didn't eat the same. I didn't sleep the same. These guys had a routine every day that they were playing for the national championship. Didn't have to talk about it. Like Vince said, they were taking dead aim on being the best they could be, and that's why you've got to have great leaders. Vince was one of the best leaders I've ever seen. And you can't make them up. It's got to be real. And these leaders, they're the hardest workers.
And you got to hold each other accountable.
You got to hold them accountable, and you got to be accountable yourself to hold them accountable.
Exactly.
And that's what these guys did, and that's what made the game so much fun.
Mac, Vince, I wanted you to touch on something Mac said about freshmen. Can you go back to your first year on campus that fall and just what your mindset was? Obviously, everybody thinks about you and they think of 04 and 05 and the great run you went on, but you had to get there mentally and physically and emotionally. What was 02 like? What was 03 like for you as a freshman trying to understand how to practice and how to be a better player?
Well, it was a bittersweet for me. It was a little hard and a little tough because when you one of the guys that's always been a player and a starter all your life, and you have to take the back seat and you got to sit back. I didn't know what that felt. Didn't know what to do with that. So for me to sit back and watch Chris Sims and watch Chance Mock, become how to be a quarterback and at the University of Texas, it was a bittersweet. It was tough, to go be the quarterback for the defense on the show team. But in the same time, I learned so much in that of how to be a part of a team that these guys are grown men, right? You got Corey Redden, you got Nate Fasher, you got the who's Quentin Jammer. Oh my God. You got guys all over the place. And when you step into that locker room, you want to find a couple of guys that are leaders on the team and you want to follow them, kind of do what they do. When there's meetings at 2:00, if meetings at 2:00, that means you need to be at meetings at 1:00. Just being a leader, being an example for everybody, understanding that type of stuff. If you got questions, ask the seniors, ask the leaders on the team. You got questions. You just got to soak up everything from what you knew from your high school days and kind of learn how to be a college player. And if you're not one of those guys that want it or as hungry like you were in high school, then you're gonna fall short on the college level. So that means you got to do what you got to do to stay focused and have the right people around you and pay attention to those guys each day and put a little bit of their traits in yourself and then continue to be who you are. Don't forget who you are. And once you do that, I really feel like you're just going to fall right into the bunch. And what I like about football and team over there is everybody want to see you succeed. So we want to help you be successful. We want you to make it to the next level. So anything that you have questions for them, just ask. And I feel like that was good for what helped me, that I had a lot of guys around me want to see me succeed. And I feel like Richard Hightower, Boscave, those guys was there for me. And Richard definitely, because he was just a down-to-earth brother that I stayed with, and not only just had questions about football, but just off the field stuff as well.
And Bob, I'll brag on Vince. He's one of the best ever. And he had patience. He did what we asked. He goes down and competes in the scout team, which is getting pushed and shoved and mocked and You'd love to go down there, but he gained the respect of the team because he moved the ball on the defense. He made plays, and they said, ooh, this guy's special, man. So for all you out there that are griping that you're not playing, earn it. Earn it. It's what Vince did. Chance Mock did a great job of competing. And then when Vince came in instead of Chance, Chance handled it. He handled it. That's the way life is. That's what we do. That's why hopefully these transfer rules are going to get changed because it's too easy now to transfer. So if you get mad one day because they send you down or a coach jumps on you and you quit, then 10 years later you say, boy, that's the worst mistake of my life. I wish I'd had a little more patience. Vince had patience, and he didn't want it. He competed so hard, and then it was easier for us to tell Colt, you need to watch Vince.
Mm-hmm.
Sit in every meeting, learn, watch him compete, watch him lead, and then that's what you just did. It became a process where guys would earn their right. You didn't just get it when you walked in at the University of Texas, and that's another thing that made us so good.
I mean, you've named so many guys in this segment that are fantastic examples of how good and how special Texas Longhorns football has been over the years. All right, we're going to get into some of the guys that want to be on that next level and maybe one day make the Hall of Honor and be the All-Pro and the great player as a part of this 2026 Texas football roster. We're going to get into that when we come back as we get into some of the big headlines as we enter preseason camp. That's all to come. This is The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Back after this. Texas has some of the highest property taxes in the country, and if you're a property owner like we are, you know it hits harder than a blindside sack. That's why every winning season starts with the right playbook. When it comes to lowering your property taxes, Texas Pro Tax has been calling winning plays for 38 seasons. They're the #1 defense against soaring tax bills, the kind of defense that stuffs rising values at the line and sends them back to the locker room.
Do your homework before you just let any firm suit up for you. I've looked at the stats, and Texas Pro Tax doesn't just win, they dominate.
We're talking big gains, deep passes, and the kind of tax-saving drives that make your wallet do a victory dance. While the other firms are warming the bench, Texas Pro Tax is driving the field, breaking tackles, and putting up game-changing Texas-sized tax savings.
Stampede listeners, your minimum fee is waived. No flags, no fumbles.
Visit TexasProTax.com, sign up and enter code STAMPEDE to join the winning team, and finally put your property taxes on the bench.
You know, around here we appreciate tradition. Whether it's Texas football or a family business that's been doing things the right way for generations, there's just something special about people who take pride in their craft.
And that's exactly why we are excited to partner with Farah Coffee.
Farah's Coffee starts on their family's farms in the mountains of Nicaragua, where they've been growing 100% specialty-grade Arabica beans for more than a century. Every bean comes from Rainforest Alliance certified land, where they are shade-grown under a natural forest canopy and hand-picked, then brought here to be locally roasted right here in Austin. By overseeing every step, they ensure the highest quality, freshness, and care in every cup.
But what really makes Farah stand out is that every bag gives back.
Through the Farah Foundation, your purchase helps support healthcare, education, and food programs for the farming families and communities that make every cup possible.
Family owned and grown, locally roasted, shared with purpose.
If you're looking to upgrade your morning coffee, do yourself a favor and check out Farah Coffee. You will taste the difference. All right, welcome back to The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Hit us up on social media at The Stampede UT. You can get this podcast anywhere you get your podcast every week. All right, so much to get into about preseason camp, but before we do that, I want to talk about the talk. SEC Media Days was a couple weeks ago. Obviously, Steve Sarkisian had some stuff to say about guys, and then Arch Manning, Trevor Goosby, and Colin Simmons were there as well. Colin Simmons had an interesting quote that I wanted to bring up because I think it's just an interesting aura around this team and the way they feel going into this season. And Colin said, when asked if Texas would have won the national title if they made the playoffs last year, you got to remember they played really well down the stretch. Obviously, the Georgia loss kind of got them in November, and that's what inevitably kept them out of the. We can get into the Ohio State and Florida thing as well. But Colin Simmons had this quote to say when asked if they would have won the national title. Hell yeah. Of course, if we would have made the playoffs, I definitely feel that chip would have been on our shoulders. We would have took it, and we would have ran with it. Okay. So I want to get into this for a couple reasons. I think, number one, Colin's great. He is very confident. And he doesn't shy away from saying things that, hey, I believe in us. I feel like that's what he's saying there. What did you guys take away from those type of things? And I know we've talked a lot over the last year about the way you approached 2005, the way you approached the confidence that you have. Vince, when you were in the media leading up to 2005, in the 2005 season, was it hard to not say what you really wanted to say? That's what.
Not really, but I could definitely understand where Colin's coming from, though. And we got guys on our team that year that can definitely voice their opinions, like a Aaron Harris. We got some guys going to say some things, and we can like, hey, slow it down a little bit there, baby. But for me, no, I really feel like I just kind of stayed with, what Coach Brown was telling those guys. And, as a leader, I don't kind of feed into none of that stuff. My job is to keep everybody on the same page and be ready to play, to back up what we are saying. So that's pretty much what I did. I didn't ever try to get into all that. And then, thank God, we had a really great guy named John Bianco that helped me out and kept me from a lot of that stuff. So, and then, again, like Coach Brown, and he handled that stuff really well. So our job was to play and let Coach Brown take care
and Mack,
of
you've got to
rest.
have good leaders that are fine with being in front of the media and speaking the way, you guys have them, the way you want the message that you guys want them to get across. But it happens. Sometimes guys say stuff. Sometimes you say stuff that is either misinterpreted or, I know you've talked about that and how Sally would say that's not what they heard. But was that difficult at all at any point to get guys to really be on that same page?
When you have an older team and they'd just been to the Rose Bowl, they had just beaten Michigan, they're going to listen because they want to win the national championship. So we did a few things. And just like Colin's statement, people ask me all the time, would you have beaten Alabama for the national championship if Colt hadn't gotten hurt?
Yeah,
I want to say, hell yeah. Doesn't matter.
Right.
We didn't. And he got hurt. That's part of the game. So I would say, who knows? That's part of the game. That's just part of the deal. But with this, we started with let's have a goal and let's have a dream. We got with Matthew McConaughey. We got with Roy Spence with GSD&M. That's a great marketing person, one of the best ever. And we sat there and said, okay, let's get a slogan, take that aim. Well, take that aim can mean a lot of things. Take that aim at practice. Take that aim at your books. Take that aim at being the right leader, the right character. Take that aim at the opener. Got to take that aim, man, on Ohio State. So that covered take that aim at the national championship. Because Harvey Pennick said, you don't see sand, you don't see water. Take that aim at that pin, man, go for it. So it fit perfectly with this team. And then Matthew and Roy came up with a thing that I thought was brilliant. The goal is to win the conference championship. The dream is to win the national championship. Because we had a process. And we needed to beat Oklahoma. We needed to beat Ohio State. We needed to do some things before we were prepared for the national championship. So you had to go through your goals first. And then we got those goals accomplished. When we got to Oklahoma, we said we changed even our thought process some on how to not only try to beat teams, but kill teams, put them away, because you're trying to be the best team in the country. We've told the story many times, Bob, about the team watching USC try to score against Notre Dame, the Charlie Weiss team in South Bend. And it's after our game's over and the whole team's around the TV and it's the Bush push and Reggie pushes Matt in for the score and our whole team erupts more than the excitement for winning our game. And I said, what are you doing? Coach, we want to play USC. We want them to be number one, man. So I could tell throughout the year this team was focused, but they weren't talking about it. It wasn't publicly talked about. We were trying to beat the teams bad enough and get good enough as a team that we were better than the best team in the country that had won 36 straight games. So I think sometimes you got to be careful. Keep your mouth shut. Show me. Go play, man. And John Bianco is the best. He's the director of communications for football at Texas, been there forever. And John would sit down with me right before I go in, especially if I'm mad, and say, cool off. Here's what they're going to ask you. How are you going to respond? And I'd
Definitely
usually
doing
say
that.
something stupid like, I don't give a damn. And he'd say, okay, go get a
Okay, you
Get
said
Diet
that
Coke.
now. Now you can
Just
go
said-
in there and say something
yeah.
different.
Yeah, you can.
Right.
After you cool off, now what are you going to say? And
You're right.
But he'd do the same thing with Vince. He'd do the same thing with Ricky. And it just, here's what you're going to get asked. Here's going to be the tough question. Give me your answer. And then he'd say, and he didn't say, no, that's stupid. He'd say, here's what is probably going to be best for the team. Here's what's going to make you look best overall. So did John tell me and Vince what to say? No. But he talked us off the ledge before we went in there mad, because coaches and players at a really disappointing time in their life, and we didn't have any that year. We won all the games. But right after you lose something that's so valuable to you, and people are critical of what a young person says or a coach says, you've lost part of your life. I mean, it's really valuable to you, and it's important, and you're mad, and you're disappointed. And sometimes you just don't respond very well.
Mm-hmm.
Do I wish I had some of that back? Yeah. You don't get them back. Words are real.
Yeah.
You don't get them
Yes,
back.
yeah.
So you got to be careful. And that's where John Bianco is so important. And for Sark, too. I mean, not just players. He is so valuable. We had Bill Little, but forever. That was wonderful. He was a storyteller. Bill could take a loss and make it look like he won by 30. I used to hear Bill talk about our game when we'd lost, and I said, damn, I thought we lost.
It was very touching, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, good. That's not the game I saw.
Well, they've talked what they've talked for the last 8-9 months, and now it's time for this team to walk the walk. So let's get into a little bit of the preseason camp storylines that we want to kind of touch on here. And Vince, I want to start with you with Arch Manning. We've obviously heard over the last 8 months what last year meant to him. Cooper Manning has been on this podcast, Steve Sarkisian on this podcast, talking about how that adversity really shaped him and helped him overcome some things. I know Sark said, he'd never been through any adversity in his life, and this is really the first time he's really faced something challenging on the football field. So he's overcome some of that stuff. When you look back on some of the losses in 2003, the loss in 2004 to Oklahoma, how did you overcome it, and what did it do to prepare you in the similar way that you hope Arch maybe learned from some of those losses last year as he goes into the 26th season?
Yeah, I mean, when you a guy that's so competitive and just a freak of just want to do good, um, not just for yourself,
Mhm.
but for your teammates, it's like a freak of habit. Like I know what I did wrong. I can't wait for that next game or to play that team again. And for Arch, and from talking to Coach AJ, quarterback coach, as well as assistant quarterback coach Michael, uh, to hear what they're saying about Arch right now is where he is a plus for where
Mhm.
he's at right now mentally. Um, to hear that he's so confident right now, he is enjoying being with his teammates, and to see the team kind of like loving to see that their starting quarterback is having fun. And with all the pressure that he has, you don't even see him even paying attention to that. His only focus is continue to get better as a quarterback, be around his teammates, hang out with his teammates. I mean, I could have saw a video of him having fun with his guys. Those all things that I felt that really took me to another level when I was playing. And to see him doing that with his teammates, that to me is dangerous. When you got a quarterback that's comfortable in his environment and still enjoying the game, that is dangerous. And I can give a lot of respect to Arch because he showed that in those last 8 games of the season. He not only got better as a quarterback, but he handled it in a special way that I don't think any other quarterback could have. You could have seen anybody just kind of fall off or ready to transfer. So for him to do that and then come back the next year and then hearing from the quarterback coaches and guys that he is so dialed in and so focused, but also he's enjoying himself. I mean, that's dangerous. So I can, to me, I applaud Arch for that because it is not easy to do the things that he's doing, and he's making it look so easy. So I'm looking forward to his this season, to see how he handles some more adversity that is going to come his way. But I just really feel like the focus level that he is on, and then he's having fun, he's taking care of his responsibilities, and you hear that from the quarterback coaches, that's something to be happy about.
And to your point, Vince, we've seen videos of Arch Manning's team against Colin Simmons' team, and whether it's pickleball or it's,
Exactly.
I mean, whatever it is, they're competing, and that's something, yeah. And you need that. That's what you need in your team.
Need that.
Coach Brown, it's been 15 years since Will Muschamp was the defensive coordinator at Texas. He returns this year. How much do you think changes in him? Obviously, he's the same person in a lot of ways, the same intensity that he's always had. But what he's learned over the last 15 years, especially about specifically SEC football, how much do you think we'll see some of the similarities that you had when he was on your staff versus where he is now?
Yeah. Bob, let me touch
Sure.
Arch just a second, too. I was on the practice field with Coach Royal one day, and a high school coach came up and said, "Coach, how can I be like you?" Coach said, "You got to have it. If you got it, you're going to make it. If you don't have it, you're not going to make it. If you don't know what it is, you got no chance to make it." And the young guy looked confused. He looked at me, and I said, "Ask Coach." He walked off. Coach said, "Hell, he ain't got it." It is when you walk in the room and everybody stops and turns and looks at you because you're special. Vince had it. Right while Vince was laughing and dancing and cutting up, he was getting ready to put you under. He's getting ready to cut your throat, man, and throw you out of the way. So you better look out, because he was happy, he was confident, and he was telling everybody else, "We're good, man." Well, the way Arch finished, he had confidence, he's a leader, and now he's all bought in. Last year he'd started 2 games, and he loses his opener. He wasn't sure he was the guy yet. He's smart enough, and he's been around great leaders in his family. He didn't want to lead till he earned it. Now he's earned it. He walks in the room now, everybody stops. He's laughing, he's playing. This time last year, he's kind of shy and worried about what the media is going to say, and worried about this, and worried about that, and didn't have an offensive line that he wanted, and didn't have running backs that he wanted, and a lot of missing pieces. Now he got all the pieces. So he walks in the room now like Vince walked in the room, and everybody stops and looks. And that's why they have a chance to win all the games.
Yeah.
Just because of him. Muschamp, when you're a head coach, you learn so much more than when you're an assistant, because you have to deal with everything. He's been a head coach twice. He is so much more prepared for this job now than he was when I had him. And he did a great job for us. PK did a great job. I think what Sark wants is more pressure, more bump on man coverage, more turnovers, stop the run, force the turnovers, and make sure you defend the deep play. But you got to have turnovers to win games. And he'll be really aggressive. His personality is aggressive. He's smart. He'll do a tremendous job. And he knows the SEC better than anybody. He's been at Florida. He's been at Auburn. He's been at Georgia.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. I mean, he's been everywhere and knows all the schemes and knows the coaches. Texas has got Georgia in the way. I saw Kirby Smart the other day, and I just laughed. And he said, "Yeah, Will couldn't sit around long. He had to get back to work." So, but he knows everything Georgia. He knows what they practice. He knows their offense. He knows their defense. He knows the special teams. He knows every player. He knows every coach. So that has to be an advantage when you're playing one of the best teams in the country. So, and Will makes players buy into him. Will's really hard on players. He's really aggressive. To do that, they got to love you. They got to believe in you. I could say things to Vince because he knew I loved him and cared more about him than anything else. So if I said something to him, I was saying it to help him.
Yeah.
And that's the way Vince is with Jordan, his son. Vince can be harder on Jordan than somebody else because Jordan knows Vince loves him. And that's the way Will is. Will makes them buy in. I saw the other day, Colin Simmons is really close to PK. So what Will had to do when he came in, said, "Okay, come here. You're the best player we got, man. You and I got to get on the same page." And I heard Colin at Media Day bragging on Will. That's what has to happen. It's got to be a complete buy-in by everybody. You can't be saying, "I don't know about this coach, man." And what the coach does, he doesn't have to be your buddy. You don't have to hang out with him, but he's got to give you a schematic advantage over your opponent. That's his job. And I told our coaches when I hired him, if you don't do that, why'd I hire you?
Yep.
I'm wasting money.
Exactly.
If you don't help Vince get where he wants to go, then what are you here for? I need somebody else to do that. And that's their job. And Will knows that. And he's all in. He loves to compete. He loves this place, and I think he'll make a huge difference.
And blitz. Please blitz.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem. He's blitzing
Blitz,
today. He's hitting
baby.
he's hitting that grease board right now, and he's drawing up plays, and Blake's already done them all. Blake did all that for him. And Blake and Will are very, very similar. They're tough, they're smart, they got in the right place. I think I believe Blake started every game he was here for 4 years and became a captain. So Blake Gideon's really smart, and he and Will are on the same page. And it's not that PK and Dwayne didn't do a good job. It's just sometimes as a coach, you're trying to get that next step, and you're thinking they did really good. Maybe this is great. I got to make a move to get one more step. What's that one more step? And that's what you have to do as a head coach. And sometimes those are really hard decisions. I like PK and Dwayne a lot, and they're both really good coaches, and they did a great job last year. And Texas has had a great defense. Still need to get more turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. And defending the pass was an issue, and it not something that has been an issue at Texas. And last year they were 97th in defending the pass. So they're just things that Sark wants to take that step, and that's why he brought in Will Muschamp. Okay, before we exit this segment, next segment we're going to talk a little bit about the Protect College Sports Act. But before we do, I wanted to get your thoughts on Cole Hutson and what's going on with this whole 2022 class, ruled eligible. Some of these guys went to NFL camp and they were cut, and now they can come back to their school. And it's just, there's a temporary restraining order that was in place for a guy like Cole. He's been kind of around the program. Texas is kind of in wait and see mode for how this goes down. But Coach, I want to get your thoughts on this because it's such a unique situation that we've never seen before. I know we've had some odd things over the last few years. This is a new one. It would obviously be great for the depth of the offensive line. Cole was a really good player for Texas last year. If they can get him back, that'd be great for Texas across that line. But what are your thoughts on this in general as we try to kind of make sense of what's going on here?
In our next segment, we're going to talk about the bill that's up, that's trying to get antitrust for the NCAA. We actually had a player at North Carolina named Tez Walker, and the NCAA made him ineligible 3 different times because he was a 2-time transfer. We thought he was a 1-time transfer because North Carolina Central didn't play football when he was there. And we were going to sue if they didn't make him eligible, and they made him eligible. We're seeing now that they're making people ineligible, and people are suing in their own states, and there's so many different laws in so many different states, and they're all getting eligible. So this bill has got antitrust for the NCAA, so you can't sue their decisions and overturn them. We don't need people going to the NFL and coming back. That's not what the game was for. That takes away opportunities for young people that are still eligible and they're playing and have earned that right. And really and truly, in my opinion, if you go and you don't make the NFL, for those guys, get a job. Go. Start your life. Because Vince said that's a really hard transition. It's a hard transition for me, coaching and not coaching. It's a hard transition from Vince, but more so those guys that play in college and don't play in the pros. And then it's a very difficult transition for a guy like Vince to play 10 years, play at a really high level, get paid a lot of money, and then have to go be a citizen. Because it's different. Juice is different. Purpose is different. Energy is different. People treat you different. Money's different. Everything is different. So right now for the team, Cole hadn't practiced with them, might have been around them some. He's waiting on a ruling maybe next week. So Texas doesn't know whether he's going to play or not, so they can't plan on him. If you bring him in, he's a backup, and hopefully he'll work his way into playing. Doesn't even know some of the new offensive linemen. He hadn't been around them, hadn't seen them. And the second part of that is, if this bill passes, will the NCAA have enough power to keep these guys from playing if they haven't been ruled eligible as of yet? And the bill may pass this weekend. So, and I'm really smart of Sark only having 88 players on his team, because a lot of people that have these guys that want to come back are full. They get 105 and they don't have a spot. Sark's got spots. So if he wants to come back, he's just an added plus. So I wouldn't plan on him. I wouldn't even talk about him to the team. And if he comes back, it's an added plus, and you can work it out.
And there was some talk of Ethan Burke possibly coming back as well this week. I think all three of us agree that there's a pretty good chance he's going to make an NFL roster. So that's not really, I don't even think that was really on his mind. You know, and even if he doesn't make a technical roster to start the season, I would imagine he'll be on a practice squad because he's really good. And we all thought he was overlooked. I know you did, Vince. I know you love Ethan.
Yeah, I don't think he's definitely gonna make the team. If he doesn't make the team, then he's gonna make a team somewhere else. But definitely wanted to add on to what Coach said. I mean, I just really feel like they need to get all this stuff taken care of because I hate to see players have to go through stuff like this. Because again, they don't deserve it for one, and the rules need to hurry up and get in place so another kid don't have to go through that. Because you know, at that age, you just want to play football, right? You love the game so much. And again, sometimes a lot of people don't know how to handle that transition to saying, hey, man, this would probably be my last time playing football. And it's tough to you know, to accept that. But at the same time, you got to make sure you got the right people around you. And, you know, these younger people that's coming up and paying attention to all this stuff, you got to make sure you got the right people in your ear. You know, when you're making these decisions and choices, make sure it's the right one. Make sure you are abiding by these rules and regulations. If you don't know, and then somebody make you make a decision and it's the wrong decision, now you have to deal with that decision. So this is good that these rules and regulations are getting put together, so we don't have to have these issues anymore. And I'm me as a player, I'm happy because I hate to see young men have to go through what they're going through right now just to play football.
Well, and you as a parent.
Sure.
And the parent as well. So.
Hopefully by the time Jordan gets here in the next couple of years, they'll have a set of rules. Okay, so what are those rules and regulations, and why are they important, and what do they mean as college football tries to move forward? We're going to dive into that when we come back. So we talk about the Protect College Sports Act and the possibilities of it passing. That's all coming up. This is The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Back after this. Final segment of Season 2, Episode 1 of The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns alongside Mack Brown and Vince Young. I'm Bob Ballou. We always appreciate you joining us. You can get this podcast anywhere you get your podcast, on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. You can watch us look silly, laugh at each other as we go through the show. And then at the Stampede UT is where you can find us anywhere on social media. All right, the Protect College Sports Act is what a dramatic turn it took at the end of last week. As the SEC and Big Ten kind of voice their support for it. And as this thing starts to move forward, we want to get into a couple of the bigger points that are involved with it and just kind of what they mean and from a player's perspective on Vince's side, like what it means as a player to hear some of these things. It's felt like the Wild West. We've been all over the place with these rules, with people suing, all these things. It feels like this sport, to Vince's point at the end of segment 2, let's just calm it all down. Let's get rules in place and let's move forward as an organization. So the NCAA hasn't exactly had the authority that maybe it needs to have over the last few years. And so hopefully some of this stuff will start to get there. I think one of the biggest sticking points that has been a part of this bill is if we put all this in place, and they've said, $48 million in revenue sharing amounts is going to be the new number. But how do we get schools to not circumvent that athlete revenue share deal, the cap for it? Coach, where does that process start? Because I know you've been in these conversations. You're on the national level having these conversations with Ted Cruz and some of those people that are involved. How does that part of it? I know that's been a big sticking point. How have they tried to kind of resolve that?
Yeah, number one, guys, I think that the Protect College Sports Act is really good. Is it perfect? No, nothing's ever perfect. It wasn't perfect before we started this chaos. It sure wasn't perfect after we got NIL, transfer portal, and tampering all involved. We got schedules screwed up. We got, and I hate for these young people that have been involved in the last couple of years where things are so screwed up, because it changed their lives and all the transferring. And I believe, Bob, that there's 10, 12 things in this bill that are really, really good and helpful.
Yeah.
And if we had said a month ago, if we do these 10 things, will it help the game? Will it help all sports? Will it help the young people that play the game? I would say yes. Is it perfect? No. But can you tweak it over time? Absolutely. But you got to put some common sense in it. And this bill gets more common sense. And to me, they've got, with antitrust for the NCAA, they'll go back and have some teeth now. They'll have some power. And what they've got to do, there's got to be really tough consequences if you break the rules. And we will have rules now because they're going to say you've got to do these things. And they're trying to make the money more transparent. They're trying to get contracts for kids that are harder to break, like they have for coaches. And there will be consequences if you break them. They're giving a retention bonus so coaches can pay athletes at their school more money to stay. And that'll keep the tampering from coming up as much, because if somebody calls one of my players, I got Vince, somebody calls Vince will come to me and I'll say, here's more money, because I got a retention bonus that I can pay Vince more money than that team that's calling.
Up to $22.5 million. That'll be the
retention. $22.5 million.
Yeah.
They're giving $5 million to ladies sports. We've all been concerned about the Olympic sports and the ladies sports.
Mm-hmm.
We've really been concerned. So that's taken care of in there. They're talking about having enough money for everybody to have a really good roster for the players to get paid a high percentage of the revenue. But they're also making it where if the lower school wants to pay that money, they can, but they don't have to. But it's not going to be a $50 million to a $10 million. It's not going to be 30 to 50 schools that can afford to play and everybody else is out. Now you got an option. But there's so much money going in now that it's taken away from education. They're having to cut programs. They're having to cut budgets. At Texas, when I was there, DeLoss gave $15 million back to the university from athletics. Now athletics across the country are taking money from universities, and that's not the way that's supposed to work. So I really, really like what we've got. I like the one-time transfer rule. I like the 5 years of eligibility. Are there some tweaks there with the 22 class and all? Absolutely. But anytime you change, you have to grandfather some things in. They grandfathered the walk-ons in when they went to 105 from 120. And that was really smart. So it may take a year or two to go through this thing.
Sure.
I mean, Condoleezza Rice said some of these things we have to change right now. I think we're doing that. Some are going to take time because it took time to mess them up. So we're going to have to put, but there is more common sense in this. And most importantly, if the NCAA gets antitrust, we can still have an NCAA because they've had no teeth. They've had no strength. And now when the NCAA used to call you, you didn't like it, man. They were coming in to look. Somebody thought you were breaking rules. Last 2 or 3 years, somebody said, bring them on. There are no rules. They can't catch me. There's agents and families, and they can't figure all this out. Well, I think we're getting it back now where when the NCAA calls you, you're not going to like it.
I think
did they add injury? Do you get that year too when you get injured?
No, you get 5 years, Vince. So if you're injured and you lose a year, you still get 5.
Still get 4. Yeah, you still have your 4 you can play.
And you get to play the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike now, you had to redshirt a year. And the other thing that happened in some cases, some coaches would talk doctors into saying that so-and-so was hurt when he wasn't. So he got an extra year.
Yeah.
So that takes all the gray out of it. You got 5 years to play. If you're delayed in high school, you can start at 19, but you can't play after 24. So a 28-year-old won't be playing against an 18-year-old anymore. 5 for 5. And I like that. I've been a proponent of that for 30 years.
I would imagine one of the things you love too is you can play freshmen. You don't have to worry about the 4-game rule. You don't have to worry about you can just play them and let them play special teams, let them play in blowouts, let them play all those kind of things that you weren't able to do before too.
Well, and Bob, your other guys, let's say that Vince was, it happened with King, I think at Houston, the quarterback. Let's say Vince played 4 games his junior year, and somebody offered him a lot more money, and he's a starter and he's doing really well. He walks into my office after that 4th game because you can only play 4 to redshirt, and he says, Coach, I'm transferring. I said, what do you mean you're transferring? He said, well, I got a better deal. Can't do that anymore. Doesn't matter. There are no red shirts. Like I said, I had a kicker at North Carolina, was one of the best in the country. 4th game of the year, he comes in Sunday and says, "Coach, I need to talk to you." And he's the best kicker in the country with the kickoffs. He walked in. I thought he was going to say, "God, I'm killing it, Coach. I love this. This is great." He said, "Listen, I'm kicking off, but you're not letting me do extra points and field goals, and that's what I want to do, so I'm transferring." I said, "What do you mean you're transferring?" He said, I'm gone. I'm going over to go into the portal right now. I'm not going to play the rest of the year." So I'm sitting there on Sunday 4-0 saying, "Okay, we got a good kicker. Who we got that can kick off? We don't have anybody." That's gone. Not a possibility anymore. I'm not saying he was wrong.
It's almost like it's eliminating some of the things that were nonsense.
Yes.
Some of the things that were just like, how are these things happening?
Yeah, this bill's putting some common sense back into the rules, and just like the transfer rule. Transferring every year, not being able to transfer if you should's wrong. Being able to transfer every year is wrong. Both are hurtful, and we've still got to go back and what's best for the game, but what's best for the players.
For sure.
What's best for their mental health. Vince has talked about mental health enough. That's real now.
It's real.
Depression's real. The pressure on these kids, it's real. The money is pressure. The transferring is pressure. The playing is pressure. When we would bring in a great player out of high school, he had pressure from the high school coach. He had the community, his parents, his uncle, his preacher. Everybody said, "Why aren't you playing?" He's freshman.
Buddy.
He's not ready. He's not good enough. But he had pressure. And like I said, you had 120 and 11 got to play. So there's a lot of mental health issues on a football team. And I'm really concerned about that. Hopefully some of these things will help.
Vince,
Plus, the retention bonus will keep kids from transferring. It'll help the Jordan Youngs. It'll help the high school parents out there and kids, because fewer kids are going to transfer because you can pay money to keep them. You've got the one-time transfer and you don't want to waste it and use it, so you're going to be less likely to transfer, which means now instead of taking all these transfers, you're going to go back and sign high school kids again. So that's a huge help for high school coaches and high school players.
And that's exactly where I wanted to go with this, because Vince, you see all these things, number one, that were player-led, what some of the things you would have gone through when you were in college, but now you see it as a parent. What's maybe impressed you the most about this bill? Because there's so many things that it feels like are going to benefit the players too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing is don't forget about the players. I mean, I was doing all this stuff for the people upstairs, and we was like, what? I mean, we don't want out here in this heat, banging each other, killing each other. I practice every day, and we on the back seat for some reason. So me as a parent and as well as a player, it makes you feel a little bit better. To know that these things are in place now, that people can follow rules and they have to follow the rules, or they got consequences. What we've been talking about on the show last season. We're in the season 2 now, so things are moving forward, and it makes you happy because you don't want these young people to have to deal with that. And I'm so happy that they still didn't. I'm so happy that they didn't forget about our ladies. I mean, with their sports growing like it is, for them to even do that, that is so much respect. And me being friends with Kat and Sonya and all my friends, and seeing some of my little nieces growing up playing sports and tennis and softball, to know that they have an opportunity and a shot to make more money for themselves and their families. So that's very important to me, and I'm glad that they did that. And then for Ted Cruz to say, don't give the money to me, give it to the players. What? Did you just hear that? Unbelievable. So people are starting to get it, and they're starting to hear what the players and what the people are saying. Like, don't forget about the players, the people, the kids out there, because, man, they are putting these kids work their tail off from sports, even trying to make all A's and B's in their classes. They put a lot of work in. So to hear that they're going in that direction to be more structure for our college football, our college game could continue to be the excitement that it is. And it's very great to hear.
And Bob, Vince wanted to hear from the players the whole time with this committee.
Right.
Let
Absolutely.
me say that just about every meeting I've been in, players have been there,
That's
current
great.
players. And
Mhm.
they've done a really good job of asking them how you feel. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? These are bright young people that care about college sports, and they've got to be really careful. All of us have to be careful not to be selfish about what's best for us,
Yeah.
what's best for the game, and that's hard to do. It's hard to do for administrators, hard to do for presidents, ads. But that's what this is all about. And there's things in there like guaranteeing a certain price for agents to charge. Instead of 25%, let's say 5%, whatever the NFL's charging. So there's we lost our common sense. We should have been paying Vince and the guys when they were playing. Everybody knows that. We went crazy and the universities were making all the money and the players were making none. So then we lost who we were, and the toothpaste got out of the tube and we started paying everybody unregulated prices, and that's not good for the universities. It's not sustainable. It's not good for the players in some cases. And we had no structure. So now we're kind of trying to get that toothpaste back in that tube little by little to make sure that we've got some sense to this chaos.
Yeah.
So I really like it. I'm encouraged. I feel like that we've made a tremendous amount of progress. Will the bill pass or not? I think it's coming up Thursday. It's coming up into the week here, and I really hope that it does pass because there's a lot more good in it than there are concerns that need to be fixed.
And just to put a quick wrap on the Protect College Sports Act, there are a couple other things I think get a little buried because everybody's still worried about the numbers and revenue share and those kind of things. Number one, a coach can't leave at the end of the season, the Lane Kiffin rule, they'll call it, but a coach can't leave. And the other one that is really interesting is they're going to cap conferences at 19 teams. So if a team from the ACC wants to go to the SEC, there's only 3 spots right now. There's 1 spot in the Big Ten. It's kind of trying to prevent the Super League that everybody's been talking about. But maybe just as important as a part of that, if a team does decide that I'm going to move to the SEC, they have to become independent for 5 years. And that's a really interesting scenario that would be created if something like that happens. So a lot of good, like you said, Mac, a lot of good that will maybe just calm the waters and we can kind of move forward and see what happens in college football. Okay, before we go,
let's go play.
Let's go play football. I know, right?
Let's quit worrying about all this stuff and let the guys play.
The last
the
8
ladies,
months,
as
the
Ben
last
said.
8 months have just been this. Like that's all we've talked about. Like we need football to be back. We don't get to do this very often in the show. You know, we record this, and as we record it, sometimes things happen. We have 2 bits of breaking news. So I'm going to get your quick takes on both of these before we go. Number one, Bijan Robinson, now the highest paid running back in the history of football. Got to love that for Bijan, one of the nicest people you will ever meet. Great off the field, great on the field. In his 3 years in Atlanta, 5,600 total yards and 34 touchdowns. He is legit in every way. What are your guys' thoughts on Bijan, his new 3-year extension for $51 million, and it makes him the highest paid running back in the history of the NFL?
Vince.
Great for him, man. I mean, you can just see him smiling right now. Cheese. But he's one of the guys that's just do it the right way. I mean, not just on the football field, which it is so beautiful to watch him make guys miss and shaking people, and he's already 5 or 6 yards down the field already. But also the way he carries himself as a person, man. I mean,
sure.
The way that he talks to Jordan every time he sees him. I mean, they just have a conversation, and for him to just take his time out and have a conversation with a young man like that, not only just my son, but I see him when he comes on campus, when he comes to the game, he has a conversation with everybody. So that goes a long way, and that's why he's, one of the faces of the NFL running backs, and he deserves it.
And Bob, the trend has been not to pay running backs as much.
Yeah.
And what you do is you pay difference makers. You pay a guy that's going to change the game. So what a great compliment to him that he is the face of the Atlanta Falcons.
It's amazing. I saw him in Gainesville when we were down for the Texas-Florida game last year. He came, and we have a relationship just through the media and kind of meeting him over the years and talking to him over the years. And you would have thought we were best friends. It's the way he treats everyone. He gave me a big old hug. Hey, how's it going? Great to see you. But that's how he treats everyone, and he gives everyone the respect. The way he would want respect too. And I think that's pretty. He's a salt of the earth, really special person that you don't come across very often. So really cool for Bijan. Okay, one more. The coaches poll is out. And Mac, I know you love preseason polls so much. It's one of your favorite things, but I wanted to tell you the top 5 because it's a little bit interesting. Number 1 team in the country, Ohio State, followed by Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Notre Dame. Let me get your quick thoughts on Ohio State, number 1, Texas, number 4. What do you think?
BY. I think we
Mac's
don't
like,
have
don't
it. No,
make me talk
no,
about polls.
no. I
Please don't
can
make-
say none of it matters. We hadn't even been through preseason. Who's going to get hurt? Who's going to be leading? Who's going to? So it doesn't matter. All 5 of those could win the national championship. All 5.
Does it matter that Ohio State is number 1? Is the behind the scenes stuff we just talked about in this show? Does any of that matter to the team saying, "Oh, really? They think they're number 1"?
I don't
Does that
think
matter?
so because they're all so good. They played last year and they were 1 and 2, and it didn't matter. Nobody remembers who's won it the first of the year. I think they should dock your all's pay at the end of the year when you look at the poll and you got it wrong. I think they
Right.
could say, "Okay, Bob, that cost you this much." There's all right, you got that one wrong. No, he's not even in the top 20. Oh my God, Bob, where'd you
That's
put
a
them?
fine.
You put Missouri in there? What?
Let's start
Come on.
finding them.
So start finding them for preseason polls, because I always hated it when ESPN would ask me right before the national championship game, "Give me your top 5 for next year," without spring practice,
Right.
without the portal.
Well, now the
Without-
portal and
Come on,
Everything
man.
else.
I got no clue. But
No clue.
all of those have quarterbacks that are back. All of those have great chances, and all of those have great team. And we've said I'm a Marcus Freeman fan, but they've got a lighter schedule. So if you're going to be in the top 12 and you're going to be in the playoff, Notre Dame's in the playoff right now, so that gives them a chance to win the national championship. You go back to our conversation. We could have a full show on should Texas and Ohio State play, because one of them is going to be behind the 8 ball after the game. That's just the way it is. What happened last year, and Texas had to fight their way back. Then they played 3 easy teams and then got beat at Florida. I mean, it was a struggle to get the thing turned back
Wow.
after that emotional loss in Columbus. And now you got Ohio State coming to Austin. So should that be a group of 5 team, a group of 6, excuse me, instead of Ohio State, Texas? That's until we get settled with strength of schedule with the college football playoff committee. Are we going to continue to see these games or not? I don't know. That's Sark's had that question. I think it's fair.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you my one take on the coaches poll. It is sheer disrespect to not have Indiana in the top 5. I think what Curt Cignetti has done the last 2 years to win the national championship this year or last year, and to have a team coming back the way he has, coming back with seniors and doing it the way he's done it, making the playoffs 2 years ago and then winning the national championship. I think he will use that in every way he can. Sheer disrespect, because he's done such a phenomenal job in Bloomington.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being an underdog.
No.
I mean,
Hey, they were last
all
year
the pressure
too.
on everybody else.
I think Coach Cignetti loves that chip.
He
Exactly.
loves it.
Gary Patterson used to create a chip.
Exactly.
He's just doing it. Joey McGuire's working on chips this morning out at
Yep.
Texas Tech. That's why they do such a great job. But Indiana will be interesting. We've all questioned them for 2 years in a row. Here we go again. New quarterback. It took the TCU quarterback, Josh Hoover. Josh Hooper. After last year, they got Mendoza from Cal 2 years ago. So how's all that going to work? Are they going to be as good? Are they going to continue what they do? I promise you, if he goes back and wins it all this year, he'll be in the top 5 coaches poll next year.
Hey,
And I guess
as you always told us.
I guess you showed your hand. You're putting them in your top 5. So there you go.
I will. Hey, our AP poll I think comes out next week. I'm more than happy to tell you I have Indiana number 1. I always give the credit to the previous national champion. Let's
Till they
Mm.
make
lose
them
it.
the number 1. So till they lose it, it's their national championship. All right, guys. Always I will say this too, Mac. You said this a lot. I remember. It doesn't really matter where you start. I think it's about where you finish.
There's no question. Let's start looking at it in November. And Sark made a point. Why even put them out in November? And that's tough because people want to know by then who's got a chance or not. But that puts the committee in a tough spot because the Notre Dame Miami thing got confusing. You talked about TCU Ohio State. a number of years ago, and I lived that. I was on TV talking about it, and saw Ohio State win 70-3, and Gary Patterson calls me, and I said, "You're out."
And they beat Iowa State 55-3. And
he
they
said,
still
"But we
dropped
won
2 spots.
55-3." I said, "It's Ohio State.
It's Ohio State.
It is Ohio State."
Don't worry about it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Go to a nice bowl. Go
listen,
enjoy yourself.
We've got a full month until Texas plays Texas State, so we've got so much more to come. Obviously, we'll find out more about the Protect College Sports Act, but also the preseason begins for Texas. We'll get into all these storylines. Raleek Brown, Hollywood Smothers, Derek Cooper. How's the running back situation going to play out? There's so much to get into, and we can't wait to do it. Guys, thank you as always. We look forward to doing this again next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh,
He is
baby.
Vince Young. He is Mack Brown. I'm Bob Ballou. This is The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We'll see you next week.